Hey guys, welcome to Boost Hunter Garage. Today we got some real nice parts to install here. If you're watching my last video, you seen we got a new set of wheels and tires on this thing. These 17-inch method wheels with some 35 by 12.5 Nitto ridge grapplers on here. If Hemi'd get his big head out of the way. So obviously with this truck, there's going to be a bit of rubbing, but with these tires. The truck does have like a leveling kit, but it's a true actual full coil instead of just a block. So it's that 2.5 to 3 inch lift. I'm not sure exactly it was on before. So the tires do rub a little bit on the inner fender, a tiny bit, and then on the control arms. A small amount, actually not as bad as I thought, but also these these wheels, they're from CJC Off-Road, and they claim with this offset that it has is the best to be able to run. You can run 35s or 37s with a 3-inch lift. And so with that being said, to fix the rubbing and overall better fix this geometry, because when you lift it up with a leveling kit, it throws your geometry off and it actually pulls the front axle back a bit more, which is causing that rubbing. So we picked up these super nice Carli Billet aluminum control arms. Let's say when these things came in, I'm super impressed with them. I mean, that's a sexy piece of billet right there. They're fairly light and obviously a bit more beefed up. You can see here, you know, it's got the offset in it for the tires rubbing. And one of the major things too is these things, as you can see, are fully rebuildable and serviceable. You can grease them, and just an overall way better joint than your stock ones are going to be that rubber kind of bushing style. So that should just give overall better durability, better control. You know, with these typical Dodge trucks, they like to wander around. You got the death wobble, things like that. So everything adds up. It's, you know, so if your bushings are worn out on your stock ones, that's going to allow that axle to wander a bit more. So we'll see if this overall helps. It's not going to eliminate it, but it's one of those things you're going to add to all those other loose bushings and stuff in the steering system. So this should give us just, overall better geometry, fit these tires better. So we're going to go ahead, just first step here, we're going to get the truck lifted up, and we're going to put a jack stand on each side, basically right behind where your control arms mount on the frame, allowing the front axle to fully droop. So we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to pull this front tire off, and we'll pull your fender liner out, my mud flaps off, and get all that out. So we'll go ahead and do that. Just give us access to work on this, and we'll get on to the next step. So I'll kind of show you, and we're just going to do one side at a time. So there we got all that taken off, got the wheel off here, and allow the suspension to hang down. And so we're gonna go ahead, and you got your 4 bolts here. So you got your one for your uppers here and up here, which goes through the frame there. You got on your lower there, and the lower one down here, that's like your cam bolt. So I would also keep track of where this is pointing, because I'm just going to line up. In the instructions, it says just put it 12 o'clock and go get your caster realigned. But I'm going to do more steering stuff down the road, so I think it'll be fine for now if I line it up where it was, because overall the control arms are just longer. So what I found, 13/16 for your top bolts here, or I found 21 mil. I just didn't have in metric a big enough socket for the bottoms, and then for those it was 15/16. I went ahead and sprayed them with some penetrating fluid. That's why they're extra wet. You can kind of see. I would definitely recommend that depending what climate you're in. They're going to rust up real good. And they do show and talk about if these are too hard to get undone, just taking Sawzall and cutting the bolt. Obviously make sure you have new hardware. They probably are going to be a little tough to get off. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen all four. I'm going to put the jack underneath the axle, obviously, so it can't, and just support it so it can't drop down. And we will get these undone, the bolts pushed out, and get these old control arms out of the way. And remember, just do one side at a time. I got the whole front end lifted up, but only unbolting one side. I have the tires still on the other side. And also just remember, make sure you got your camber bolt there lined up, and just know I'll make a mark on there so I know where to line it back up with when we go to tighten this all up. So let's get these undone. Hopefully they're not too tough to get undone. All right, guys. So we got the old arms out of there. 3 of the bolts or nuts came off real easy. The bolts pushed out fine. But this cam bolt, I was calling it camber bolt before, but cam bolt was tough. And like I said, you might have to cut it, which I did. I was starting to do. I almost felt like I was going to snap the ratchet trying to do it. So I took the Sawzall, cut it here. And even after that, it was so seasoned I didn't want to cut it on the other side. So we got that out. As you can see, I haven't tightened these yet, but I relined this up with the mark I made. And then we're going to go ahead and obviously tighten this all back down. And one other thing to mention, just when you're taking apart, you're going to take the bottom out first, then the top one. I kind of did a little backwards because the way it was stuck and I was fighting with it. And then you'll go back in with your upper first, then your lower. And then for torque specs, it says the torque, these top ones to 120 foot-pounds and the bottom ones to 175. So I'm going to go ahead, get those all tightened down, and then essentially we're done on this side. You know, just make sure anything you undid is tightened up and back in place. And then we'll also go ahead, throw the liner back in and put the tire back on. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. Obviously, the other side is the exact same thing. The only thing you're going to have to do is your downpipe for your exhaust is going to be in the way to pull out the bolt, the top one, through the frame there. So you're going to have to loosen up your downpipe, pull that out of the way to get the bolt out. But otherwise, exact same thing. I'll put this tire back on this side, so we're kind of doing the same thing on the other side. So fairly simple, basically just undoing a few bolts. So we'll get this all done, and then we'll do some testing after. So there you have it, guys. We got that all installed. As you can see, it's not rubbing. It's close, but way better than it was before. So right here, we'll throw in the clip I filmed before with just the stock control arms and showing how much it rubbed. So far I'm really happy with it. It clears good, makes the truck turn even in reverse. It seems always in reverse you seem to catch more. So yeah, they went on real good, other than don't make the mistake I made and just assume that the way they boxed it, they got two, an upper and a lower together, an upper and lower together. I grabbed the lower when I was started on the passenger side, or sorry, driver's side. It says right on it, driver's side, shows axle side and frame side, threw that on, and I just assumed that the one next to it was the upper for that. And I should never have assumed, because I got this side all done, wheel back on, I go start doing the other side, and I grab the upper to do the other side, and something just didn't look right. I think it was the way the American flag was on and the way the grease zerks were. I'm like, this doesn't look right. Flip it over, look, and yeah, it was the driver's side. Kind of seems dumb that they packaged that way, but you shouldn't just assume, I guess. So I had to quickly rip the upper off here, switch them around, so it took me a bit more time. But overall, pretty simple install. I'm really happy with them, love the way they look. I'm glad I went with the billet ones and not just the lower level ones. And yeah, just torqued them up. It says also on there to check your torque after about 500 miles, so I'll probably check that. But overall, really happy with this. They turned out great. And kind of coming up here, I want to do more of the Carli suspension stuff, get this truck overall handling good, steering, try to get rid of some of that wobble. We'll see once I hit the highway here, we'll see if it takes away some of that wander that I was talking about before. And when I took out the old ones, you could tell the bushings were pretty beat up, so I won't be surprised if this helps with some of the wander. It's not going to fully eliminate it. There's some other things in the steering that we have to fix. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and come back and check out more on this truck later on.